Here is every single character found in the Walten Files. Throughout the timeline Martin has created, there's been a plethora of characters, each with deep personalities and backstories. These details strengthen and add intrigue to the overarching message of the series. In this video, we will go over all of them, expanding on their appearances, roles in the story, and how they impact and bend the timeline. And as for our first character, we have to go all the way back to Jason Woodings. Praised by many around him for his strong business sense and relentless work ethic, Jason was the founder of the important company in the franchise, Tech. By the end of this video, your perspective on this company may completely change. He invented many things, freelancing for casinos, amusement parks, restaurants, and much more, eventually passing the company down to his son, Norman Pooltrick, who is the current owner of Tech during the series events. Unlike Jason, who is only mentioned once via an old version of the Jack Walten website, Norman has a few references, mainly in the video Tech, go figure. One instance is Norman writing to Felix, more on that later, and the second being a moment when Susan and Charles are testing the animatronics.
Well, Norman said we should start testing the facial tracking feature.
Norman is one of those characters with some real unseen power in this franchise, with him having the power to shut down Bond's burgers at will. Knowing that he is the entire mechanical backing behind all of the animatronics, Felix Kranken and Jack Walten really do rely on him quite a bit, even though it's not really seen in the actual mainstream of the franchise. And with the final piece of Tech placed in, let's move on to Bond's burgers. As we go down the timeline, two key characters emerge. You may have heard of them, Jack Walten and Felix Kranken. Felix is known for his hard work as the founder of Bunny Smiles Inc., but he's also deeply flawed, especially in how he handles stress.
Knowing Felix, he's probably drinking somewhere in town.
Even Chris knows about the addiction.
His partner, Linda Kranken, who will later become Linda Thompson, details his increasing alcohol abuse and declining mental state. Narratively, Jack Walten serves as Felix's opposite. Jack is a family man, seemingly managing his stress in a healthier way, while Felix spirals. In August of 1970, Jack is welcoming his third child. At this point, he already has a daughter in Sophie Walten, a son in Ed, and a youngest daughter in Molly Walten. Jack also hires his wife, Rosemary Walten, as the art director for Bunny Smiles. And at this point in the timeline, they strike a deal with Norman Pooltrick, now CEO of Tech, to bring their vision to life.
You spend time with your family?
Sure I do.
Good. Because a man who doesn't spend time with his family can never be a real man.
And that leads us to the employees. The main technician sent by Norman Pooltrick is Susan Woodings, who has pretty much built the animatronics from scratch. Her expertise makes the whole project possible. In 1970, Charles Brooks joins the team, contributing his computer engineering skills, and together they create marvels of electrical engineering, with facial recognition, moving tracking, the works. The two grow close, with Susan even asking Charles about his daughter, Lily. We don't know much about Lily, only that she has a very important birthday later in the story. Then there is the mysterious name Chris. And no, Charles is not Chris. Chris appears to be a higher up at Bunny Smiles and eventually seems to take over the company.
Anyway, so Chris told me this place hasn't been working since about 78, 79.
Chris left some hours ago, and Felix didn't even show up. I'll leave and close the restaurant when I'm finished.
Even Chris knows about the addiction.
He's only mentioned 3 times with almost no description. Still, I predict that he has a much larger role than we all may realize. But now you may notice there's one spot left, and that's reserved for a humble employee. Now you may ask, why does a random employee matter? Well, let me introduce you to Richie. Richie, the facility caretaker from the Jack Walten website, gives us major insight into the company and its workers. Between 1970 and early 1974, he simply installs arcade machines, cleans the restaurant, and helps management. But keep an eye on Richie because he will become very important later in this story.
Quality. Quality food. Quality entertainment. Quality fun. Hi, I'm Felix Crankin. With the most delicious food, the greatest video game cabinets, and the best mechanical entertainment your kids could ever ask for. Now you can be a part of the Bon's Burgers family. Let us bring your family together the right way. Let us bring your family together.
As the restaurant's opening approaches, all employees are busy. Charles and Susan are testing the animatronics, and Jack brings his kids to test the facial recognition features on his children. But something feels off. Linda packs her bags and leaves. Felix sees the note and maybe pours another drink to fix it. Jack trusts Felix to drive Ed and Molly to a school event. A simple task, really. They've been friends for years after all. This shouldn't be too difficult.
Uncle Felix, will you drink?
25 new messages. Felix, pick up the phone. Now.
But something's not right. Did Ed and Molly's plush just move? Somehow, Ed and Molly possesses Rocket the Rabbit, a character Jack had made just for them. They end up in a purgatory-like place between heaven and hell, a resting place for souls.
It's Wonderland!
There they encounter Bon, which is probably one of the most important characters, and you will see his impact very soon. After the crash, Felix lies to Jack and Rosemary, claiming he was unconscious for 20 minutes and the kids ran off. 3 weeks later, Jack Walten goes missing, just 2 weeks before the restaurant's grand opening.
It sounds like something out of a movie, doesn't it? It reminds you of Beauty, right? Well, in reality, they are the very mascots that roam around our parks.
Bon's Burgers opens with animatronics Shaw, Banny, and Boozoo, which Richie reports that Bon has been acting weird, so they put the bot in the back. An employee wears a Bon costume for the first 3 days. Charles is sick during this day, and Chris leaves early. Felix doesn't show up at all, which shows a lot about these characters, especially with Felix not showing up on the opening birthday. That leaves Susan Woodings to shut everything down and basically run the show. Felix's absence speaks volumes, highlighting his selfishness. Chris leaving early highlights Susan's reliability and trust with her into the company, especially when it comes to check on Bon.
I noticed a few irregularities in the stage and in the audio animatronics. As the engineer and the person who basically built the animatronics to begin with, it was easier to notice these, especially in Bon. Something felt off. The limbs weren't moving properly. They looked stiff and odd, mainly in his right arm. Take a few more minutes to take him to the backstage, just to make sure everything's okay. Hello?
I can hear you, Susan. I'm here. Don't you worry. You're in safe hands, Susan. Welcome to Wonderland.
your new home. Isn't it beautiful? Dead? No. Not yet, at least. Pleasure to meet you. My name is Bon, and you're Susan.
What are you talking about?
Perhaps I could help you. Here, a gift. Take a look inside. It will eventually become your new body. You will be reborn. A spirit can't survive without being tethered to a vessel. I know you're scared. I was too, but everything will be.
Susan and Banny become one. Susan goes to Wonderland and makes a deal with Bon. Bon manipulates her, trying to relate to her, and even hints that he's gone through the exact same process before.
The spirit doesn't pass on quite as fast as the body does. I would know.
Dear believers, when men pursue evil, it is evil that they will find. Mark my words, there is no good that can come from the pursuit of darkness.
Charles immediately tries to find Susan. His concerns shows how much they really care for one another as colleagues.
I'm calling to inform my colleague, my friend, Susan, hasn't shown up in a few days. I contacted her family and they say they also haven't heard from her. We're all really worried over here that something may have happened to her.
Meanwhile, Susan remains alive, kept breathing by the mysterious figure known as the Shadow Man.
Shadow Man, save me when lights go off.
Using this scene from episode 3, it is also implied that she needs to be breathing in order for the Wonderland scheme to work. He is also referenced in Bunny Farm, where we briefly see Felix replaced with the Shadow Man after the crash. Are they one and the same? We won't go deep into the deaths of Charles and Rosemary, with them not adding too much to the characters due to our lack of knowledge. Charles dies on his daughter's birthday, July 14th. Rosemary dies in the restaurant at 3 a.m. on the final day of it being open. After the closure of Bon's Burgers, Felix moves all the animatronics to K9, demonstrating his fear of these huge machines and also his possible assistance in the murders. Felix moves the animatronics in a bunker with a similar location that you've definitely seen before. Yeah, it's that same forest.
So, this is the brand new caretaker for the old Bonnie Smiles facility.
We meet the new caretaker in the Hotline mini episode. He explores the facility, finding Boozoo's ghost, trying to warn him to leave, and eventually encounters Bon, but he narrowly escapes. Here again showing how much Charles cares about people and his willingness to help as a personality trait for this character. Later, Felix assigns Hillary, Kevin, and Ashley to repair the animatronics. We don't know much about Hillary or Kevin, but Ashley's curious by nature explores the abandoned bunker.
Hey guys, this is Ashley. I am using the camera because I am planning to find wherever this key leads to. I'm sure whatever this key hides could save the project. I will show this footage to you guys once you wake up. I know you guys told me not to wander around, but I genuinely think this small key could be a lifesaver.
Jack, Susan, Charles, Rosemary, Sophie.
And that leads us to one of our final events, being the last facility caretaker we know of, Brian Stells, from episode 1. Interestingly, Brian isn't hired by Felix, but is hired by Chris. There's that name again. Brian's story mirrors David, especially this time, Bon doesn't let him leave.
What was that thing?
And that leaves us with Sophie Walten. But before we talk about Sophie Walten, we must talk about the arcade machine that reveals her past back to her in Bunny Farm. Bunny Farm was an arcade machine created by Bunny Smiles in 1981 and has a lot of interesting one-off characters. Two that I'm going to go over quickly, as they're not really that important, are Pete the Hippo, who is just really a catalyst for the story of the arcade machine, bringing the main cast to his farm, and same thing with Holly the Horse, just being a simple caretaker and appearing in some minigames. The one important character that you really want to pay attention to in this arcade machine is Mr. Snow. Mr. Snow is the catalyst for Sophie revealing her past memories to her, as Sophie Walten, after losing her entire family, seeks medical attention, and she's given pills that seemingly make her forget all of her past, to the point where in the series she cannot even remember her own family or their names. This character in the game seems to slowly rebuild back her memory through the arcade machine, and I predict was a plush that her father, Jack Walten, created for her, similar to how the Gray Rabbit was created for Ed and Molly, his other two kids. Mr. Snow slowly reveals back her past, revealing her two sisters, as well as what had happened to her mother.
Am I still beautiful to you? Sophie.
Found you.
After losing her entire family, Sophie lives alone in a hotel, taking pills to forget her past, her friends, her family, everything. Luckily, she finds a friend in Jenny Letterson, who in episode 3 plays an arcade machine and helps uncover Sophie's history. Jenny showing Sophie Walten the arcade machine is really going to be the catalyst for Sophie Walten becoming a facility caretaker, which is the next step in the series and has yet to be seen. With all that said, if you want to see the making of this timeline, make sure to click here, make sure to join the memberships if you want to chip me a chocolate bar, and make sure to subscribe.
The songs the lustiest, the friends the trustiest, way back home.